President Obama speaking at the White House just moments ago, meeting with law enforcement, faith leaders, elected officials, community leaders around the country, talking about the climate and the distrust that is taking place between certain communities in America and law enforcement. He says this time it will be different, and he wants to make sure that voices are going to be heard. And there's a number of things that the president outlined that he will be initiating to try to make change. Zelina Maxwell, political analyst and contributor to the Griot, joins us. The president seems determined, but what can he actually do? Another task force. In fact, that was brought up there. What'd you make of his answer?
Well, one of the things I think is really interesting here is that you have a black president, a black attorney general, and yes, this is one of those moments that is going to be different because you have hurdled the step, which is often a barrier to getting sort of the white majority to understand a problem like police brutality. You already have two people in positions of power to do something who have experienced discrimination and racial profiling and who are willing to listen to the young people who are coming into the White House today and on the streets of Ferguson because they themselves have experienced it. So you're already leaping over one of the
have to do. That's going to be reviewed. I guess I interpret that as somewhat of as equipment accountability, how it's used and why it's used. Also, cameras.
Yes. And
then, of course, this is all going to come from the task force. But, Zelina, aren't we talking about police procedures here?
Well, we are talking about police procedures, but one of the things I think we always need to understand is that it is important to review sort of the militarization of the police departments across the country, because if they have tanks and, machine guns pointed at protesters, but yet Darren Wilson says he didn't want to wear his taser because it was uncomfortable and not every police officer in Ferguson had access to a taser, then maybe that's a place in which we can strategically make a change in police procedure to make sure that they have tasers so that we can avoid these deadly situations.
And we get, not to be critical here, but we hear a lot of generic talk about how the federals are going to work with the state and there's going to be all this back and forth. What can the federals do? You now have the Republicans in charge of the House and the Senate, and they have never been really willing to do anything to hurt law enforcement when it comes to the way they want to operate and police their community. So this could yet be another fight in Washington, couldn't it?
It definitely is going to be a fight in Washington. But I think one of the things that's different in this moment is that you have so many different groups of people out on the streets protesting and making their voices heard. And so I don't think that that is going to be able to be sustained without Congress paying attention and listening to the people that are in the streets, because they must, right? This is not about Ferguson, like the president said. It's bigger than that. It's Sean Bell. It's Jordan Davis. It's Trayvon Martin. So many different names, and it shouldn't be that way.
Zelina Maxwell, thank you so much. Appreciate it. There's a lot more coming up on The Ed Show. Stay with us. We're right back.